So guys, Update 5 has been out for about a week now, and so far it's been received pretty well, but it has created a few new problems of its own which the devs are planning on fixing next week. And not just that, but this week we also got some new info on what's coming next to the game as well. So guys, this is BillyEatWorld again, and let's find out. Alright guys, how you going? Welcome to the video, and like I said, the big news we've got to talk about in this one is a new patch the devs are planning on releasing next week. And like I said, this one, among other things, is being aimed at fixing a lot of the issues people have been having with Update 5. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like it is going to be adding any new content. Now, apparently we're going to be getting the full change list on patch day, but probably the main thing you are going to notice is hopefully a smoother experience on Purple Heart Lane. The devs have been working on, quote, an enormous memory optimization, which should result in, quote, much faster loading, better in-game physics handling, and an overall performance increase. Now, not just that, but you might also remember that Update 5 added in new authentic map marker icons, which I've got to admit are pretty hard to see. And so apparently they're also going to be getting fixed in next week's patch as well. No details on exactly what the devs are going to do just yet, but what we do know is that they're, quote, now much more legible. Also, another thing people have been complaining about is drowning in the deeper rivers on Purple Heart Lane. And so from next week, the drop-off into these rivers won't be quite so sudden, and you'll actually have a chance to get out. And finally, the last major thing you're probably going to notice in next week's patch is the devs have also added in the new US jumbo tanks to some other maps. They're not available as a commander call-in yet, but hopefully that's coming in the near future. Alright, so moving on, the other big bit of info we got in this week's dev briefing is that next week we'll also be getting a new roadmap for content coming in Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. And not just that, but apparently the devs are also going to be releasing a broader project roadmap, which will lay out the plans for the game to the end of early access and beyond that as well. Apparently a lot of new players don't really realize yet that they're planning to add things like, for example, melee combat, flamethrowers, transport vehicles, and of course the Eastern Front. And look, I can totally understand that. I still get comments on basically every video complaining that other games do things better than Hell Let Loose, and I think that's just because people don't realize this game isn't finished yet. Now, with that being said, the devs didn't give us a lot of concrete info on upcoming features, but what they did do in this week's post is hint at a few things, which usually means they'll be deep diving into them in the next few briefings. And one of those things was the upcoming ballistics overhaul and also changes to sniper scopes. No info on these just yet, but we've been told to watch out for more info very soon. Also, I should mention probably the most interesting thing we got in this week's briefing was a sneak peek at one of the new recon vehicles, which looks like it's going to be a German Puma armored car. And once again, this image is really all we have so far, but look, this is what they did with the jumbo tanks, so I'd say in the next two briefings we'll probably get a much better idea of what this one and what the other recon vehicles are all about. Now, another thing I haven't really spoken about yet that we got some info on in the last few weeks is the new animation overhaul that the devs have been talking about for a while now. And if you don't know what I'm talking about yet, well, basically what the devs are doing is going back and replacing pretty much all the first and third person animations in the game with more natural looking ones. As you can see here from these behind the scenes photos, a lot of these animations are being created by using mocap technology, which will, quote, transform the look and feel of the game to a huge degree. And look, and this is kind of like a running theme of this video so far, we don't have an exact release date on these just yet, but according to the devs, they are about 90% complete, so hopefully that means pretty soon. But finally, still on the topic of visuals, you might remember that in the last video I spoke about how the devs were going over character facial models and reworking them to look a bit more realistic as well. Well, as you can see here, this week they've released yet another screenshot, and I think you'll probably agree it's even better than the last ones we got 2 weeks ago. Not just that, but you also might remember the devs recently reworked the audio engine, and another thing they spoke about in this week's post is apparently they're still working on adding and improving sounds, which will change in the upcoming updates. And once again, this is something I just don't think people realize isn't finished yet. So hopefully in the next few months, we'll not only be seeing better visuals in the game, but also better audio as well. But anyway, guys, that just about wraps up this quick update video. So as always, make sure you let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And just remember that I can't possibly cover every single detail in these dev briefings in one video. So if you want more info, I'll leave all the links to those in the description down below. As always, though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And please feel free to check out the links in the description if you want to see any more of these videos. And also, don't forget you can find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch. And as always, until next time, see you later and have a good one.